And the last thing we're going to talk about is quiet. This is what happens when certain amounts of paradox discharge at one time. And these are delusions. You dissociate from reality and you start to impinge your own reality on reality. This can be a problem because it can lead to worse and worse things. There are generally 6 levels, depending on how much you discharge. And at the lower levels, the quiet tends to be personal delusions, perhaps some minor projections, certain selective perceptions, or hypocritical behavior. Then when you start getting up there, you're going to start getting into irrational behaviors, perhaps literal blindness or denied subjects, like saying flat out that the earth is flat. Did I say that? Yes, that is a delusion. You could also get into levels of madness, where you start dissociating. You start having a more tenuous grip on reality. And there's even a level of morbidity. Perhaps the magic you did caused a lot of death, and the way the paradox discharges causes you to become attracted to death, a fixation with mortality, bloodlust, perhaps even violent sociopathy at higher levels. But the levels accrue. Think of it as a scale, just with those dots. You have 5 dots, and you're generally still safe, and that you can still be a PC. Things start getting worse. Reality isn't the way it seems to you, but you inflict yourself on reality that way until you get to level 6, in which case you become an NPC because you have become a marauder. The madness of quiet has become so heavy upon you. You're not redeemable. You've been lost. The madness is so strong it takes over your paradigms. You become a force of just pure, insane, unregulated change. You become a reality deviant, a true reality deviant. The technocracy will come hunting. But the problem is they will often find their effects unable to work properly against you because your madness, coupled with your ability to alter reality, has gotten to such a degree that you alter reality reflexively around you. All mages fear this level. They fear that level of quiet. Mages in general fear quiet because what they want to do is they want to reshape reality to suit everyone. They want to make that kind of paradox not really a thing anymore. Not to make themselves more powerful, but because it shows that reality has been decalcified. But this is the knife's edge they walk. On one side, the world they want. On the other side, the fall to hubris, to quiet. And this can happen quite often with what we call, as I said in the last video, sticky paradox. When paradox doesn't want to discharge when your storyteller makes you roll it. Remember, you only have to roll a 6 or higher. That's a 50% chance on a D10. So every die you roll has a 50% chance of causing you to discharge paradox. You can even, in some campaigns, some chronicles, cause yourself to discharge paradox. I used to allow it all the time. Now, what that did is, since you were doing it voluntarily, the difficulty for the paradox to discharge was only a 5, because you were doing it intentionally. But that also means there was a greater chance that you had more successes, and you would cause yourself both more harm and possibly throw yourself into quiet. So it was a gamble, and you knew it because you did it voluntarily. And also, the more you tried to do that, the more there was a chance that one of those points of paradox became permanent. It wasn't a get-out-of-jail-free card. There was a gamble. You see, for every point that discharged when I allowed this, you rolled a d10. Anything that came up a 1, if you botched the roll, for every botch past the 1 that made it a 0 success. So let's say you had 5 points of paradox and you voluntarily discharged it and you got a 10, 9, 8, 1, 1. Okay, remember I said the difficulty is a 10. So one of those 1s nullifies the 10. Gone. That leaves you a -1. You botched. You get a permanent point of paradox. As you try to cheat the system and the system says no. So there's a gamble to it. Now remember, this is a house rule. This isn't a rule in the system. In the system, technically, the only thing you can do is go into a meditative state, stick to doing coincidental magic, and keep your ass in line. And I like that system. Because at any time during that, say, that first month that you did it, if you tried to perform vulgar magic, guess what? You nullified all your work. So you had to think creatively. You had to go beyond just being a rough and rugged, vulgar spellcaster throwing fireballs and lightning bolts. And that's something I like about this system. There's a lot of thought that goes into Mage. This is why I say it's not a World of Darkness game for everyone. And that's in a subgenre of World of Darkness that isn't for everyone to begin with. So, do I see it as elitist? Absolutely not. I see it as more involved. Mage players really have to give thought to this. They can't just jot down a character in 5 minutes and go, 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 like they can in, say, Werewolf. It takes a little more thought than that. But this is also the fun of it to me. How are you going to learn how to be coincidental? When it comes down to garnering paradox, will you have the willpower to let it bleed off? Or are you going to find yourself continually forced to run headlong into it until that paradox explodes like so much dynamite in a house fire?